Vandeham Shri Guru Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsam.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to the 38th episode of Pariprashna podcast, a weekly podcast where we are systematically studying Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So, in today's episode, we will be discussing chapters 3 and 4 of Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, a quick review of what we have covered until now. So, Canto 3 started by way of Maharaj Parikshit asking Sukadeva Goswami to relate the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. But a prelude, a conversation that precedes Vidura Maitreya Samvada is Vidura Uddhava Samvada. And the way that happens is we see in the first chapter that Vidura is checked out of the palace of Hastinapura because of the harsh, piercing words of Duryodhana. And Vidura, the way he responds to that is glorious and very instructive. So he leaves putting his bow aside and then he goes on a pilgrimage and wandering here and there in so many holy places. Finally, he's come to the bank of river Yamuna. That is where he meets Uddhava. And Vidura, we see he asks him like a whole lot of questions, inquiring about the Yadu dynasty, Kuru dynasty, about Krishna, and about so many other relatives. And just hearing these questions, we see Uddhava, who is so afflicted by the separation of Krishna, goes into ecstasy for almost a Muhurat's time, that is like 48 minutes. And then in the second chapter, we see when Uddhava comes back to his consciousness, he starts recollecting the various pastimes of Krishna. He starts off saying that the son of Krishna has set on the dynasty of Yadukula. And then he goes on. Initially, it's a little random the way he recollects the pastimes. But however, later in second chapter, it's a very systematic recollection, remembrance of the pastimes of Krishna within Vrindavan. So Uddhava talks about how Krishna was begotten in the womb of Devaki by Vasudeva in answer to the prayers of Brahma and being afraid of Kamsa. So Krishna was taken away to Nanda Maharaj's Bhavan and exchanged with the girl baby of Mother Yashoda, and then the cowherd pastimes with all his cowherd friends, and then the chastising of Kaliya, the lifting of Govardhan and Rasa Leela. So that is where we had stopped. So logically speaking, so chapter 3 is the pastimes of Krishna outside of Vrindavan. So today we are going to take a deep dive into Krishna's pastimes in Mathura and Dwaraka and the setting of the scene where the entire Yadu dynasty is going to be annihilated, and finally concluding with how Vidura meets Maitreya. So we have a whole lot to discuss today. We have 2 chapters ahead of us. So without further ado, as always, let's continue to inquire from His Holiness Bhakti Padma Saurabh Pracharak Swami Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
So Maharaj, as Uddhava is recollecting the various pastimes of Krishna, right in the beginning of chapter 3, so the first section, that is shlokas 1 to 9, talks about Krishna's education and marriage. So we see when Uddhava is talking about how Krishna killed Kamsa and he dragged Kamsa all across the wrestling arena, and he freed his parents from the imprisonment, and he goes to Gurukul, Sandipani Muni's Gurukul. He learns 64 arts in 64 days. So Uddhava seems to be quite bewildered. On one hand, Krishna is performing these seemingly human-like actions, him releasing his parents. And in fact, in 10th canto, when I was reading in preparation for this, in the 45th chapter, 9th verse there in 10th canto, Krishna is even begging forgiveness from his parents. He is the Supreme Lord and he is asking for forgiveness, pleading forgiveness from his parents. And he is the one in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, shloka 15. We see, Vedaishcha sarvair ahameva vedyo, Vedanta krit veda vid eva chaham. By all the Vedas am I to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta and I am the knower of the Vedas. So he from whom all the Vedas comes, even he is going to Gurukul and learning all these 64 arts. So If you can please, with your explanation, just like Uddhava is bewildered, we also seem to get bewildered when we read all these pastimes of Krishna. So if you can please dispel our bewilderment, that will be great.
So Maya bewilders everyone.
Mhm.
So Maya bewilders conditioned souls by one kind of bewilderment, and Maya bewilders liberated souls another kind of bewilderment.
Mhm.
So when Maya bewilders the conditioned souls, that Maya is known as Maha Maya, and the Maya which bewilders the devotees, that is known as Yoga Maya. So one is material bewilderment, other is spiritual bewilderment.
Okay.
Material bewilderment is to make us forget Krishna. It is because of forgetfulness of Krishna.
Mhm.
And spiritual bewilderment is because of remembrance of Krishna.
Mhm.
So what is the difference if both are bewilderment? The material bewilderment gives us miseries,
Okay.
material misery. But spiritual bewilderment drowns us in the ocean of bliss.
Mm.
Because if you're not bewildered, if you're not experiencing the Adbhuta Rasa,
Mhm.
other rasas are impossible to relish.
Okay.
That is why Pashyame Yugam Ishwaram. The first bewilderment happens by seeing the material world itself,
Mhm.
where you'll find contradiction. That is what in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Pashyame Yugam Ishwaram.
Mm.
Pashyame Yugam Ishwaram. Me Ishwaryam Pashya. Pashya means see. What is that Aishwarya? What is the speciality? You are sitting in your room.
Mm.
So you are in the house, you're in the room, and you cannot be outside the room. But Krishna can be inside your room. He is actually inside your room,
Mm.
outside also.
Mm.
This is bewildering. Now Krishna is inside your house, and the house is inside Krishna.
Mm.
Uh, so Krishna is in this world, at the same time, whole world is within Krishna.
Mm.
So that is actually bewildering. So when you see the bewildering nature of Krishna, where opposites are harmonized,
Mhm.
both opposites are true. Krishna is inside the house is also true. He's outside the house, that is also true.
Mm.
He's in the house, that is also true. House is in him, that is also true.
Mhm.
So Pashyame Yogameshwaram. Matstani sarvbhutani nachaham teshavasita nacha matstani bhutani pashyame yogameshwaram. Yathakasasdo nityam vayu sarvatra mahan. Though the whole air is in the sky, but the sky is aloof from the air.
Mhm.
So Krishna gives an example in the Bhagavad Gita to show that contradiction is harmonized in him naturally.
Okay.
So Krishna is the one who forgives the entire world, but he begs forgiveness from his parents.
Mm.
So how do you understand? You understand because one is tattva, other is rasa.
Mm.
The whole of the Bhagavatam is based on this one particular point. That is viruddha samanyam tasminna chitram. Viruddha means virodhabhas or contradiction. Samanyam, they are harmonized. Tasmin, in that Supreme Lord. Nachitram, it is not an astonishment.
Mm.
So it is not an astonishment that contradiction is harmonized in Krishna. So this is how the pastimes of Krishna is to be understood.
Okay.
And that gives rasa.
Mm.
If you want to relish rasa, you have to first bring out a contradiction.
Mm.
How the unborn is born. How the person who doesn't walk walks.
Mm.
Tannejati, taddure, tadvantike. So every verse you have to raise a contradiction. Every single aspect of Krishna you have to raise a contradiction and resolve the contradiction, harmonize the contradiction. That is called rasa. It is
Mm.
like ganna. It is like sugarcane.
Mm.
You have to extract the juice, sugarcane juice. How will you do that? By crushing it. So the crusher is this. You bring two opposites and then harmonize them.
Mm.
That's called rasa. That is called Samanvaya.
Mm.
So you'll find this throughout Bhagavatam,
Okay.
directly or indirectly. In every verse you'll find this.
Mm.
Very first verse of Bhagavatam. Janmadhyasyato anvayaditartah, anvayadita, directly and indirectly. So it starts from there. The Krishna is absolute Satyam Param, but he speaks lies.
Mm.
Maya, मैं नहीं माखन खायो, मैं
Mm.
नहीं माखन खायो, ना मैं नहीं.
Oh.
I only ate mud, but
Mm.
it sounds like मैं नहीं माखन खायो.
Mm.
I did not eat mud.
Mm.
So absolute truth is telling lies as if he's telling truth,
Yeah.
and still is absolute truth.
Mm.
So the lie spoken by absolute truth is absolute truth,
Mm.
and the absolute truth spoken by us, conditioned soul, is actually absolute lie.
Wow. Mm. Nice.
Yeah.
Wonderful, Maharaj. So going forward, another astonishment for many that bewilders is Krishna's householder life. Many raise a question, oh, he's married like 16,108 queens. But however, here Uddhava, he's recalling about Krishna's most glorious householder life, the way he kidnapped Mother Rukmini and married her in the very last minute. It said, but Lord Krishna, stepping over the other hopeful candidates, carried her away as his own share, as Garuda carried away nectar. And in the next shloka, it's talked about how Krishna subdued 7 bulls whose noses were not pierced, referring to the 4th verse here, where he married Princess Nagnajiti, and Krishna marrying Jambavati, Satyabhama, the 8 principal queens, and how he killed Narakasura, although he was his own son. And then there were 16,100 princesses in his captivity. And during the social customs during those times, those princesses would not have been married by anybody else. So when they pleaded and expressed their desire that Krishna should marry them, Krishna married all of them. And not only he married, it said Krishna expanded himself suitable in 16,108 forms and gave them each their own palaces and begot 10 sons and 1 daughter from each one of them. So it's really glorious just reading these amazing verses. So, Maharaj, if you can share a little bit about this aspect of Krishna, his householder life.
Yeah. Krishna, householder life. He is a hen-pegged husband.
Yes.
So that is the nature of Krishna, that he is controlled by his devotees, controlled by the prema of his devotees, that he is willing to do anything. That is why the Bhagavatam says that Priyam Prabhur Gramya Iva Priyaya. He had a desire to give his wife, whatever she wanted, like the husband would do. Just imagine, Krishna had to steal. These days, the husband don't steal for their wife, but they work hard for their wife. But Krishna went to the extent of stealing Parijata tree. And Indra, he became very angry. He fought with Krishna. And Indra is also a tool. He's actually is a doll in the hands of his wives. He says, oh, how can this person take this Parijata to the earthly planet? So Indra became very upset. He started criticizing Krishna. Indra thought that Krishna was also a plaything in the hand of Satyabhama. And he thought, Atmavat Banyate Jagat. Just imagine, Krishna had to go so low in one sense to make Indra think that Krishna is also one among me or one like me. Same Krishna who made Indra. Just imagine.
Yes.
How much Indra would respect Krishna for that. So Krishna was willing to give up all those things and come down to the level of Indra, considering Krishna as a Atmavat. He's also like me only. I'm also Jodu ka Gulam. I'm also the henpecked husband, and he's also henpecked husband. Let me go and fight with him. So Krishna's household affairs, like a husband, in the henpecked husband, that his real glory of Bhakta Vatsalata. He reciprocates the love of the queens. Rukmini's love, Satyabhama's love, Jamvati's love for him. So the nature of Prem Bhakti is this. Prem Bhakti controls Krishna. He becomes controlled by the law, by the Prem Bhakti. Yeah.
So Maharaj, in the next section, we see how Krishna has such a wonderful golden heart that when he himself is capable of killing all these demons, but repeatedly we see Krishna wants to delegate the glory. He wants to give credit to his devotees. So here in the 10th verse, we see Kalamagada Shalvadin Anikairundatah Puram Ajighanat Swayam Divyam Swapumsam Teja Adishat. Kalayavana, the king of Magadha, and Shalva attacked the city of Mathura. But when the city was encircled by their soldiers, the Lord refrained from killing them personally just to show the power of his own men. So Prabhupada also writes here in the purport, after the death of Kamsa, when Mathura was encircled by the soldiers of Kalayavana, Jarasandha, and Shalva, the Lord seemingly fled from the city, and thus he is known as Ranchor, or one who fled from fighting. Actually, the fact was that the Lord wanted to kill them through the agency of his own men, devotees like Muchukunda and Bhima. So, like that, Prabhupada will continue. So, Maharaj, this is a running theme that we see, whether having Muchukunda kill Kalayavana or Bhima kill Jarasandha, giving credit to Arjuna in the Kurukshetra battlefield, giving credit to Shiva for drinking the poison in Samudra Mantana Leela. So, if you can speak a little bit about the magnanimity of Krishna in giving credit to his devotees.
That is what one of the reasons of appearance of Krishna. Punya Shlokasya Kirtaye, Kunti Devi, she says. That whole purpose of Krishna's appearance is to glorify the devotees, give credit to the devotees. So, right from the first canto of Bhagavatam, throughout the whole Bhagavatam, Krishna wants to give credit to his devotees. Now, it started with Bhishma. So then, after the Mahabharata war is over, Yudhishthira started crying. What was the condition of Arjuna before Mahabharata war? Yudhishthira's condition was the same after Mahabharata war. So Krishna went and spoke Bhagavad Gita to Yudhishthira. From outside, Krishna is teaching Yudhishthira, don't cry, it's all temporary and all these things. But inside Yudhishthira's heart, same Krishna is Paramatma, is telling Yudhishthira, don't understand. Whatever I am speaking, don't understand. So Yudhishthira did not understand. He did not accept. So Krishna told, let's go to Bhishma. Let Bhishma speak. He wanted to prove to the entire world what I cannot do, Bhishma could do. That is the glory of Krishna. That is his Bhakta Vatsala. He wants to glorify his devotees. The reason is Krishna's glory is dependent on his devotees. If there are no devotees, there are no preachers of Krishna consciousness, who will know Krishna? Who will speak about Krishna? So he feels very much indebted. Bhuvigrananti te purida jana. So those are Burida jana, most compassionate, because they spread the glories of Krishna. And Krishna becomes indebted to them because they are spreading my glories. So it's my responsibility to glorify them. Ethamam prapadhyante tamsate bhajamyam. The way you approach Krishna in the same way Krishna approaches you. If you are glorifying Krishna, then Krishna takes a vow, I'll glorify this person. That is why he always gives the credit to Arjuna. Nimitta matram bhavesavya just become a nimitta. That's all. Actually, the whole war, who killed? Krishna only killed. Jehanidiksha. Hatagata Swarupam. Bhishma says this thing. Lord, just by looking at all the soldiers you have taken away, just by Niriksha, the whole prana were taken away. Who did Arjuna kill? Arjuna killed those who were already killed, already dead. He killed only dead bodies. That is why Yasholavasva, Krishna told Arjuna, Nimitta matram bhavasavya Yasholavasva, you take fame, na? Work I'll do, you take fame. That is what my whole purpose is. Because it is because of you I became famous. And because of me, you'll become famous. That is a reciprocation which happens between Krishna and devotees.
So beautiful, Maharaj. So not only the reciprocation between the Lord and his devotees, here in the 13th verse we see, it's really amazing what kind of Lord Krishna is. Sakarna dushasana saubalanam kumantrapakena hatashriya suyodhanam sanucharam shayanam bhagnurumurvyam nanananda pashyan. First of all, I'm intrigued why instead of Duryodhana here he is called Suyodhana. So we'll see the translation. Duryodhana was bereft of his fortune and duration of life because of the intricacy of ill advice given by Karna, Dushasana, and Saubala. When he lay on the ground with his followers, his thighs broken, although he was powerful, the Lord was not happy to see the scene. So on one hand, Krishna orchestrated this whole Kurukshetra war to get Duryodhana and his party killed. But when Duryodhana is lying down with his thighs broken, Krishna is not happy. And Prabhupada is writing here in the purport, Krishna is harder than the thunderbolt for the wrongdoer and softer than the rose for the faithful. You can say something about this, Maharaj.
So why Krishna was not so pleased seeing Duryodhana lying on the ground? That is the question.
Yes.
The reason is given in the 14th verse. Kiyan bhoyam shapito yadrona bhishma arjuna bhinnamulai ashtadashaksho Kshino madam shed aste balam durvisahan yadunam. So the burden which was caused by the 18 Akshohinis found by Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, Bhima had only been slightly reduced. It is not completely reduced. Kiyan bhuo. Kiyan means only little bit reduction. Because compared to the strength of the Yadus, the whole of the 18 Akshoini army was insignificant.
Oh.
So then he thought, Madam Shairaste Balam Durvisahan Yadunadin Durvishahan Yadunam. The intolerable Durvishahan Balam, the intolerable strength of the Yadunam, still remained. Because Madam Shairaste. Pradyumna is Krishna's Amsha only. So all those Amshas, they still are on the planet as a burden to the planet.
Okay.
Now a question arises, how come the Yadus, who are devotees of the Lord, are a burden to the planet? There are two kinds of burden. One burden is for a lady, one burden is she has to carry 20 kilos of vegetables on the head. It's a big burden. Or she is a big burden to run the house. Husband is not working or something like that. Another burden is also there. 3 kg of necklace with diamond thread necklace. That's also a burden. but it's a joyful burden.
Okay.
So the associates of the Lord were very powerful. Of course, they were very powerful, so they were there on the planet, and the planet had the burden. But the burden were like the ornaments on the lady.
Beautiful.
So that is a joyful burden which they had.
Okay.
One burden which is difficult to tolerate, and second is easy to tolerate, or very happy to tolerate. So these are the like a mother carrying the child. That's not a burden. A merchant carrying wealth. That's not a burden. So these burdens will give happiness. So sometimes Dhruva Maharaj, when he did tapasya, earth was not able to carry the burden. It was very heavy. Earth was shivering. That Dhruva Maharaj was so powerful in his tapasya. The earth was pushed down like half like this because of the weight of his tapasya. So these burdens are actually not a burden. So burden of the Yadus is not a burden on the earth in the sense of suffering. Okay. It is like this. Ornaments carried by the young woman, the weight of the ornaments are put temporarily on the on her body by her lover. But that doesn't mean that it is a burden on her. So in this way, the Devatas had entered into the Yadus, who are eternal associates of the Lord. So now, that was one of the burdens which was onto the earth, and Krishna wanted to relieve the earth from that burden.
Okay. Yeah. Very nicely explained, Maharaj. The burden of love and the burden of the beast, Vishwat Chakraarti Thakur is writing, and very nicely you explained. So in the very next verse, 15th verse, when they quarrel among themselves, influenced by intoxication with their eyes red like copper because of drinking madhu, then only will they disappear. Otherwise, it will not be possible. On my disappearance, this incident will take place. So Maharaj, there are so many ways, unlimited number of ways where Krishna could have orchestrated the destruction of Yadu dynasty. But however, the way he chose it to happen is quite ghastly. The way it happened, they fought among themselves, getting intoxicated and getting cursed by the sages and all that. So how can one properly understand this Maushala Leela? What is the proper attitude with which, proper mood with which we should approach in understanding this Maushala Leela?
Yes, it is a very complicated Leela to understand, because this Leela is meant to deliver or bewilder the demons.
Okay.
There is something called Asura Mohana. There are some verses in the Bhagavatam which are Asura Mohana, to bewilder the demons, so that the demons will not enter into the rasa, the core essential bhakti, prema bhakti, that has to be protected from the demons. So for that, there are some verses which externally talk about certain pastimes in the Bhagavatam, which is by studying which the demons become bewildering to the demons. That is Krishna, how he left the planet. He talks about he left the body and went to Vaikuntha, something like that. So then these Yadus fighting among themselves. So that was to be understood only when Yadus are two aspects in Yadus. One is Krishna's associates who appeared in this world. Okay. And the Devatas who entered the body of Krishna's associates. Oh. Okay. When all the associates of Krishna went to Prabhasa, where this pastime happened, Maushala Leela, there who went? Only the demigod aspect of the Yadus, they went. Oh. Where the original Yadus, who they stayed back in Dwaraka, went there aboard. Okay. Dwaraka is eternal dham. So now Krishna, he had to take the demigods back to their position. So he enacted this pastime of the fighting among themselves. So this is to bewilder the demons. That is the only reason which can be explained. That is Asura Mohana.
Okay. So I'm going to jump to 24th verse, Maharaj. So we'll see if we can draw some important lessons from this Maushala Leela. पुर्यां कदाचित् क्रीडद्भिर्यदु भोजकुमारकैः कोपिता मुनयश्येपुर्भगवन्मतकोविदाः. Once upon a time, great sages were made angry by the sporting activities of the princely descendants of the Yadu and Bhoja dynasties, and thus, as desired by the Lord, the sages cursed them. So, what can we learn from this? Like Samba pretending like he's pregnant, and everybody else going and asking, "Oh, you sages know everything, so you must also be able to predict which baby he's going to deliver, girl or boy," and the sages getting angry and cursing them. So, what is the deteriorating effect? How is it spiritually dangerous to commit such Vaishnava aparadh?
Yes, to test the power of the Brahmana is like testing the temperature of the fire by keeping your hand in the fire.
Oh.
So when you test fire, I want to see how hot the fire is. Put your hand, what happens? You burn. So it is like that. So it's such an offense. It gets immediate results for that. So it's not proper to show your strength, to examine the strength of Brahmana, because who can correct somebody's answer paper? Somebody who is superior. So you cannot test somebody who is superior to you. The Brahmanas are superior to you. You cannot test. Yeah.
Okay. So moving forward, 25th verse. ततः कतिपयैर्मासैर्वृष्णिभोजान्तकादयः ययुः प्रभासं संहृष्टा रतैर्देव विमोहिताः. A few months passed, and then, bewildered by Krishna, all the descendants of Vrishni, Bhoja, and Andhaka, who were incarnations of demigods, went to Prabhasa, while those who were eternal devotees of the Lord did not leave but remained in Dwaraka. And the 26th verse. तत्र स्नात्वा पितॄन् देवान् ऋषींश्चैव तदम्भसा तर्पयित्वा च विप्रेभ्यो गावो बहुगुणा ददुः. After arriving there, all of them took bath, and with the water of this place of pilgrimage they offered their respects to the forefathers, demigods, and great sages, and thus satisfied them. They gave cows to the Brahmanas in royal charity. So 25th Maharaj, you have already explained that eternal associates stayed back in Dwaraka, and only the demigod portions they went to Prabhasa. So here from this verse, so Prabhupada is also writing here, as a rule, every human being is indebted to God, the demigods, great sages, other living entities, people in general, forefathers, etc., for various contributions received from them. Thus, everyone is obliged to repay the debt of gratitude. The Yadus who went to the Prabhasa pilgrimage site performed their duties by distributing land, gold, and well-nourished cows in royal charity, as described in the following verse. So, is this another lesson that we can draw, that we all have to repay the debt of gratitude, and what is the best way to do that?
You cannot actually repay the debts,
Okay.
but you can try to do so. So all these activities are just trying to express your gratitude, not to repay the debts. So sometimes you think we'll repay the debt. Once I repay it, then now I'm done with it. No, it's not like that. So somebody had done upakar to you, and you cannot repay, but you can try to repay by doing certain activities. Certain activities is like charity, and especially cows to the Brahmanas. These two are the most important aspect of charity. Giving cow as a charity, but to the Brahmanas, and by doing so, you protect the Brahmanas. So if you protect Brahmanas, Brahmanical culture. By doing so, you are going to benefit the entire world. Because Krishna benefits the entire world by cows and Brahmanas. So if you give charity to the Brahmanas, what they have? They have nothing to do for themselves. They'll use it for welfare of the world. And how does the Brahmana welfare do welfare to the world? By performing sacrifice. And to perform sacrifice, you require ghee. Ghee comes from milk. cow milk. That is Deshi cow milk, not that ghee what you get in the market. It's Deshi cow milk. So you do yajna. You require to eat ghee also to memorize the mantras and to be sattva guna, maintain sattvika, and also to perform yajna. So when yajna is performed, Krishna is pleased. Then when Krishna is pleased, then rain comes, then grain comes, and all the kushala, all the auspiciousness will be on the planet. That is the reason always cows and brahmanas, anywhere you find immediately these two things come. Cows to the brahmanas. As soon as Krishna appeared, what did Vasudeva do?
Give charity.
Mentally.
Yeah.
Mentally offered. Offered cows. 10,000 cows he donated.
Right. Yeah. Very nice, Maharaj. Now starting chapter number 4. Were you going to continue, Maharaj?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh? Were you going to continue? Say something else?
No.
Okay. So now we are beginning chapter 4. This is a continuation of Yadu dynasty annihilation. Uddhava uvacha atate tadanugnyata bhuktva pitva cha varunim taya vibhramshita jnana duruktair marma pasprushuhu. Thereafter, all of them, the descendants of Vrishni and Bhoja, being permitted by the Brahmanas, partook of the remnants of prasada and also drank liquor made of rice. By drinking, they all became delirious, and bereft of knowledge, they touched the cores of each other's hearts with harsh words. So, Maharaj, one of the 4 regulative principles that we take during the time of Diksha is that we will not engage in intoxication. And we see here that such associates of Krishna, even they got delirious when they engaged in intoxication, and it led to their downfall. So, if you can please talk about the effect of intoxication.
Effect of intoxication is number 1, determination will be lost. There are 4 pillars of religion. One is tapasya. But tapasya requires determination. So if you are intoxicating, then you cannot fix your vows. You cannot be steady in your vows. Is going to affect tapasya. You cannot be determined in any activity. So neither spiritual life nor material life. Ultimately, intoxication is self-destruction. You know, but still you cannot avoid it. That's the situation. A person intoxicates. On the cigarette packet it is written, smoking is injurious to health, but still he smokes.
Yeah.
He knowingly he knows it is injurious, but still he smokes. That's foolishness. And many people, they want to give up smoking. They want to give up intoxication, but they cannot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Maharaj, wrapping up this part of it with the next shloka, that is the second verse. Tesham maireya doshena vishamīkrita chetasam nimlochatirava venunam iva mardanam. As by the friction of bamboos, destruction takes place, so also at sunset, by the interaction of the faults of intoxication, all their minds became unbalanced and destruction took place. So just one paragraph purport here. When there is need of fire in the forest, by the will of the Supreme, it takes place due to friction among the bamboos. Similarly, the descendants of Yadu were all destroyed by the will of the Lord by the process of self-destruction. Just as there is no possibility of a fire occurring deep in the forest due to human effort, so also there was no power in the universe which could vanquish the descendants of Yadu who were protected by the Lord. The Lord wanted them to be so destroyed, and thus they obeyed his order as indicated by the word tad anugnyata. So if you can say something about this friction of bamboos for destruction, Maharaj.
So liquor makes a person fight among his own well-wisher. That is, you find when a man gets drunk, he comes home and starts beating his own wife. Who gave the money? Who is running the family? Because just imagine, that's what happens. So they destroyed each other. And the word sun setting is very interesting because sun setting doesn't mean that sun is lost. So all those people who are fighting among themselves. They are actually the demigods.
Mm-hmm.
The original aspect of the Vedus, they are all there in Dwaraka only.
Mm-hmm.
So these demigods, they anugyata. So the word which has been used is that they took permission from the Lord and went.
Mm-hmm.
They went to their own abode.
Mm-hmm.
It is not that they died. Like for example, Indra came in the body of Arjuna. Vayu came in the body of
Bhima.
Bhima.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, all the demigods, they appear as an amsha of amshas in the different bodies of their Supreme Lord. So these demigods, they took permission and returned to their abode in Swarga. That is why it is described that atate tadarugyata, taking permission from Krishna. They ate and drank wine. So what is the meaning of taking permission from Krishna? Not to take wine, but taking permission to go.
Okay.
So this is only Asura Mohana. They are told. This Gita is Asura Mohana.
So Maharaj, moving forward, the next section, shlokas 4 to 13, talks about Krishna meeting Uddhava and Maitraa Rishi. So shloka 4. Aham chokto bhagavata prapannarti harenah vadarim tvam prayahiti swakulam sanjihirshuna. The Lord is the vanquisher of the distresses of one who is surrendered unto him. Thus he who desired to destroy his family told me previously to go to Badarikashrama. So Maharaj, here Uddhava is telling, he told me previously to go to Badrikashrama. So just to make sure that I'm understanding the chronology of events correctly. So Krishna was in Dwaraka. So all these demigods came and requested Krishna that, okay, now you have reduced the burden of the earth. Now you can go back, wind up your pastimes. So hearing this, Uddhava is already going into this intense separation. So he is afflicted by that. So Krishna speaks about 23 chapters of Uddhava Gita to him, which will come later, in much later canto. And then Krishna told him after giving Uddhava Gita that you now go to Badrikashrama and give my message to the sages there. And meanwhile, what happened was Krishna orchestrated this whole Maushala Leela, the cursing of the sages and them crushing all that iron pieces, putting it in the ocean, them becoming these huge rods, and them going to Prabhasa and fighting amongst themselves, intoxication, all that. So now Uddhava is telling, instead of following Krishna's instruction and going to Badrikashrama, he did not. He instead followed Krishna, and he's also come to Prabhasa Kshetra, and that is where he is meeting Krishna, right? And that is when they are interacting. Maitraa Rishi also comes.
Yes.
Okay. So Maharaj, why only Uddhava was chosen by Krishna? There are so many Yaduvasis, but it was Uddhava who was chosen to go to Badrikashrama. Why is he the chosen one?
Yeah, Uddhava is being described in 11th canto as Krishna's Daitas Sakha, very dear friend of Krishna. Uddhava Pravaro Mantri, he is a mantri. Krishna would not take any decision without the advice of Uddhava. Also, something which is dear to the heart of Krishna, he could only reveal to Uddhava, that is his viraha from the Vajavasis. Because there is nobody else competent, nor Brahma, nor Shiva, nor Sri, Lakshmi, nor himself, Sankarshana. Only he found Uddhava who can actually understand his heart. So Uddhava is a very qualified person for that. That is the reason he said that you go to Badrikashrama and then you speak Krishna Katha to the sages who are meditating in separation from me. So he found Uddhava very qualified to speak Krishna Katha, and then the sages of Badrikashrama who are experiencing separation from Krishna can feel solace in association of Uddhava. Krishna Katha can give solace to Krishna, to the devotees. So he found Uddhava is a qualified person to speak Krishna Katha.
Okay.
Because he has an association with the gopis too.
Okay. So now Uddhava gives a very visual description of where he finds Krishna, where Krishna is sitting, how he is sitting, the tree and everything. So shloka number 6. Adraksham ekamasinam vichinvandayitam patim Sriniketam saraswatyam kritaketam aketanam. Thus following, I saw my patron and master, Lord Sri Krishna, sitting alone and deeply thinking, taking shelter on the bank of the river Saraswati, although he is the shelter of the goddess of fortune. So this is so beautiful, Maharaj, this last line. Kritaketam aketanam. He who is the shelter. In fact, Sriniketam, he is the shelter of goddess of fortune, but aketanam. Like as though he is shelterless. He is taking the shelter under a tree and sitting down. And Prabhupada also writes a nice purport to this. Those who are in the renounced order of life often take shelter underneath a tree. The Lord was found by Uddhava in that condition of taking shelter, as do persons who have no shelter. Because he is the proprietor of everything, everywhere is his shelter, and everywhere is under his shelter. The entire material and spiritual cosmic manifestation is sustained by him, and therefore he is the shelter of everything. So there was nothing astonishing in his taking shelter in the way of the unsheltered who are in the renounced order of life.
Yeah.
So,
The purport is quite evident. That is, Krishna is the shelter for everyone. So that is why he has no shelter. Because there is no other thing where he can take shelter of. He is the shelter of everything. That is the reason it is described that he is having no shelter. Adraksham ekamasinam vichinman daitam patim sriniketanam sarvash saraswatyam kritaketam aketanam. So aketanam, he doesn't have any house. Because he is a shelter of everything. He doesn't find any shelter, so he doesn't have shelter. Doesn't have shelter means he has no requirement of taking shelter of anything else. Because he is a shelter, swa ashraya ashraya. He is a shelter for himself.
And I was really blown away when I was reading this 8th verse, Vishwat Chakraarti Thakur's what Prabhupada is quoting. I'll just read that and open it up. Vama urav adishritya dakshinangri saroruham apashritarbhakashvatham akrusham tyakta pippalam. The Lord was sitting, taking rest against a young banyan tree with his right lotus foot on his left thigh. And although he had left all household comforts, he looked quite cheerful in that posture. First of all, Uddhava is very, very descriptive. The Lord was sitting, he was resting against not just a banyan tree, but a young banyan tree, right lotus foot on his left thigh. So many details here. And all these details, the way Vishwat Chakraarti Thakur is explaining, so it's a small purport only, maybe I'll read. According to Srila Vishwat Chakraarti Thakur, the Lord sitting posture, keeping his back against the newly grown banyan tree, is also meaningful. Ashwatha, the banyan tree, is so called because the tree does not die very quickly. It continues to live for many, many years. His legs and their energies are the material ingredients, which are five in all: earth, water, fire, air, and sky. The material energies represented by the banyan tree are all products of his external potency and are therefore kept to his back. And because this particular universe is the smallest of all, the banyan tree is therefore designated as small or as a child. Tyakta Pippalam indicates that he had now finished his pastimes in this particular small universe, but since the Lord is absolute and eternally blissful, there is no difference between his leaving or accepting something. The Lord was now prepared to leave this particular universe and go into another, just as the sun rises on one particular planet and sets in another simultaneously, but does not change its own situation. So Maharaj, Bhagavatam is so deep, so profound, it's just wonderful how everything has such deep meaning, and we should be so grateful to our acharyas for giving such explanations. So, and it is you who I have been hearing your classes and getting this kind of interest to go deeper. So if you can please talk about these things, how we can learn so much, we can just go deeper and deeper and deeper.
Every metaphor has a philosophical significance too. At the same time, there is a rasa behind it. So there is rasa and there is tattva. Both has to be taken together. So the tattva is spoken here in this particular verse. The tree is young because indicates among all the universes, this universe is smallest universe.
Okay.
And Takta Pippalam means the Lord has given up his pastimes in this world, since the Pippala refers to material happiness in the Shrutis. The Vedic literatures, Pippala means Shrutis, material happiness. The Lord is beyond all material happiness or material things. That is why he is creeping his back towards the tree. That means I'm beyond it. So, the word Ashwata also refers that Ashwata, that is, na shwaha tishtati, that which does not last till tomorrow. Shwa means tomorrow.
Okay.
That is temporary. The nature of this world is temporary. And Maya is always behind the Lord. Maya is always behind Krishna. That is what Vyasa saw. When Vyasa, he saw Krishna, he saw Maya was standing behind him. That is in the first canto, 7th chapter. Bhakti yoge manasi samyak pranitayamali apashyat purusham purnam mayam to the pashrayam. Apashyat purusham purnam. He saw purusham purnam Krishna. Mayam to the apashrayam. Maya was taking shelter of him. Where apashrayam, behind him. Maya cannot come in front of Krishna. Krishna Surisama, Maya hai andhakar. Maya is andhakar and Krishna is like sun. In front of sun, there cannot be any darkness. So Maya is always behind Krishna. So that is how this Ashwata is behind Krishna. So all the materialistic people, they are behind Maya. And Maya is behind Krishna, so they cannot see him. So that is the purpose of Krishna leaning behind the Ashwata tree.
Okay. Excellent, Maharaj. So in the 9th and 10th verses, we see in the 9th verse there is entrance of this great sage, Maitraa Rishi, and in the 10th verse, Maitreya Muni was greatly attached to him, the Lord, and he was listening in a pleasing attitude, with his shoulder lowered, with a smile and a particular glance upon me. Having allowed me to rest, the Lord spoke as follows. So Maharaj here, in the purport of 10th verse, Prabhupada is writing that Maitreya is a Jnana Bhakta, and how Krishna chose Uddhava over Maitreya. So if you can tell us a little bit about who is Maitreya Rishi and why Krishna is why is Krishna choosing Uddhava over Maitreya, although both of them heard from Krishna?
Yeah. Maitreya is a friend of Vyasa. He's a very elderly personality. And Krishna, he glanced and then he showed affection to Uddhava. The reason is Maitreya was a Jnana Mishra Bhakta. He was also a devotee, but he was Jnana Mishra Bhakta. Compared to Maitreya, Uddhava is a Nitya Siddha.
Okay.
And in that Nitya Siddha, devotee of Uddhava, there is Brahaspati. Brahaspati. So one of the Vasus also entered this Uddhava's body. Uddhava was Nitya Siddha. Compared to anybody else, he is a great personality. Now, sometimes Uddhava has been described as a sadhana siddha just to cover certain secrets. So, the eternal associates of the Lord, when they appeared, they are eternal associates, and each of them eternal associate of the Lord, there was an aspect of a demigod.
Okay.
So, Vasu is one of the demigods who entered the body of Uddhava. But definitely, Maitreya is not a Nitya Siddha.
Okay.
That is the reason you'll find Krishna showing more affection to Uddhava than Maitreya.
Okay, okay. So Maharaj, in the next section, of course, I'm going to skip a few shlokas in the interest of time. So shlokas about 14 to 18, we see how Uddhava is overwhelmed. He is glorifying Krishna, praying to Krishna. So in the 13th verse, when Krishna is speaking to Uddhava, he is saying, "O Uddhava, in the lotus millennium, in the days of yore, at the beginning of the creation, I spoke unto Brahma, who is situated on the lotus that grows out of my navel, about my transcendental glories, which the great sages describe as Srimad Bhagavatam." So he's talking about him speaking Chatushloki Bhagavatam to Brahma. And in the 19th verse, Uddhava is speaking now. "When I thus expressed my heartfelt desire unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the lotus-eyed Lord instructed me about his transcendental situation." So did Krishna also speak Bhagavatam, the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, to Uddhava upon his request?
No, Chatushloki Bhagavatam has been elaborated
Okay,
by Krishna to Uddhava.
okay.
That is called Uddhava Gita. That is
Oh.
in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam. So that is what is being referred to. So it's also Bhagavatam.
Oh, so he is recollecting here what Krishna told him in Dwaraka, the Uddhava Gita, that part.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay. So Maharaj, in the next section, we see how Vidura, although senior by age, he wants to accept Uddhava as his spiritual master. He is requesting him that you please share all these instructions. And as a reciprocation, Uddhava, in a very nice way, he redirects Vidura that you please hear from Maitreya without, and Prabhupada writes a very nice purport there about how there is Maryada, Vyatikrama, we have to keep certain etiquettes in mind and all that. So if you can talk a little bit about this, Maharaj.
Maryada Vitikram is a very bad thing. Means Vitikram is to over.
Okay.
Though somebody you may be very knowledgeable, you may be very advanced, but still somebody who is senior, he should be respected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's called Maryada.
Vyatikrama. Okay. So Maharaj, now towards the very end, so Vidura, he spends some more time on the banks of Yamuna, and then he goes to the bank of the Ganges, and that is where he meets Maitreya. So that we will see going forward. Is there anything else you want to discuss about this, Maharaj? Because I'm going to move to the next section, Vichara Mantana, where go a little deeper into the annihilation of Yadu dynasty.
No, nothing much about this. This is fine.
Okay.
You can go
Okay.
further.
Okay, okay. Just 1 second. So Maharaj, as I was going through certain things for preparation for this class, I was hearing and reading how Vishwat Chakraarti gives 13 different reasons for why Krishna orchestrated this whole Maushala Leela. So certain things you have already described, how Devata's portions were there, they went back to their abodes and so many different things. But however, there were a few things that I wanted your enlightenment on. This Jara, right, the hunter who came to kill Krishna. So what is that connection between Bhrigu Muni and Jara, and that being one aspect of why this whole pastime happened?
The story is already there in the Puranas, which
Okay.
talks about how Bhrigu Muni, he appeared as Jara because of being cursed.
Okay.
And that's the whole story.
Okay.
I don't remember the entire story, but this is the story.
Okay. And then it also said how the Sahajiya aspect. So where the Sahajiya thing is coming in this whole Leela, that is one of the reasons given by Vishwat Chakraarti Thakur. Maybe I'll try to find the exact thing.
Sahajiya aspect is that you can progress in spiritual life without following the rules and regulation.
Okay.
This body itself becomes spiritual. Material body itself becomes spiritual. That is what Sahajiya thinks so.
Okay.
But where exactly is the thing, I have no idea.
Yeah, here is what I found. So one of the reasons was to expose Sahajiya tendencies through the prank involving Samba pretending to be a pregnant woman. Krishna exposed the dangers of mockery and superficial religiosity, which is Sahajiyism.
Yeah, there are some people who think they have become a gopi. So
Mhm.
they are men, but they wear woman dress.
Okay.
That's
Mhm.
Sahajis.
Mhm.
The Sahajis, they do that.
Okay. 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 So one more thing along these lines, Maharaj. Yeah. So the other reason was to bewilder the atheists and herald Kali Yuga. Krishna left behind a quote unquote body to confuse atheists and start the age of Kali. It gave impersonalists a chance to speculate as per his plan.
Yeah. Because far in the past time he leaving the body,
Mhm.
they think they start saying that Krishna and Krishna's body are different.
Mm.
Krishna's body is made up of Maya. So that's how the Mayavadis they think so.
Okay.
And they get an opportunity to speak about Mayavad, speaking about this pastime.
Mhm. Okay. Brilliant. Very nice. Okay, Maharaj. Maharaj, the practical aspects, Anushilanam, you talked about Maryada, Vyatikrama, how we should be very careful and all that. So, for somebody like, brahmacharis in the ashram, they may get like proper training and they also more have access to watch senior devotees in close circles, like how they deal, and from that they can learn. But in general, how does one really learn about this proper Vaishnava dealings, Vaishnava etiquettes, what one should do, what one should not do? Sometimes we end up doing the wrong thing, but it may not be intentional. It's just that we don't know any better. So how can we become good at Vaishnava etiquette?
By reading Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Okay. Okay.
And also learning from our grandmothers and grandfathers,
Mm,
our Vedic culture.
mm,
Then you learn
mm.
how when father comes, you stand up.
Right.
It's not that he comes and goes. You may be very learned in the father,
Mm,
but you should know he's a father, he's an elderly person, you should be respected.
mhm.
Just because you earn more money than your parents, that doesn't make them inferior to you.
Yes.
They are parents,
Mm,
maybe more learned, may not be educated, but respect
mm,
has to
mm,
be always given to somebody who's elder to you.
mm,
If you're very careful about it, respect whether that person is qualified or not. That is
mm.
not uh, then are they qualified for your respect or not? That is not your prerogative.
Okay.
Respect them, that's all.
Mm. Very nice, Maharaj. So, Maharaj, moving on to the very last section, Brahmastra. So, today's Brahmastra is called Divine Dilemmas. So, I'm going to put you in some situations. It's pretty much happened before, most of them. So, I'm going to say you are going to be in somebody's shoes, and that personality has already taken a certain stand or they have done what they have done. But if you were in their position, what would you do? So, I'll give you maybe a couple of options. So, then you have to choose. If you were Krishna and you could take only one devotee back to Goloka with you, and there are two devotees, Arjuna and Uddhava. So who will you choose and why? Who will you take with you?
Like Arjuna only.
Not Uddhava?
Yeah, Uddhava, he is a good preacher, isn't it? He should stay back here.
Ah, okay. Similar to what Krishna did. He said you go to Badrikashrama and preach.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah, let's go to the next one. If you were Balarama and had to choose between siding with either Pandavas or Duryodhana, of course, Balarama was neutral, but you can't be neutral now. You have to choose. So, whose side will you choose?
See, in this world also, you change parties, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot.
It's not that you only hang on to one party always.
Mm-hmm.
So I would hang on to Duryodhana for some time, like
Oh.
Balram did. At the same time, after some time, when he saw Balram is when Duryodhana, I would hang on to the party of Duryodhana for some time.
Mm-hmm.
Then I see that he cannot be corrected because he is doing Vaishnava Parad. Then
Mm.
Balram was the chance.
Mm.
I would do the same thing. who can be a better, what Krishna and Balaram decides that is the best. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So later you would have switched to Pandavas.
yes.
Okay. The next one is from Ramayana. So if you were Lakshmana, so who is none other than Balram, and Rama ordered you to abandon Sita in the forest, would you follow Rama's command, or you will say, no, please relieve me of this duty, I can't do this?
It's a big dilemma now. Yeah, I would have left Sita in the forest after building one nice palace for her and then a lot of
How
facilities for her.
nice. How
I would
nice.
have done that.
Okay.
And tell Ram, there's a nice, wonderful palace there. Why don't you visit sometimes?
Very smart thinking. Okay. Nice. Next is Karna. If you were Karna, just before the Kurukshetra war, Krishna comes to you and he says, you know what, you are the eldest brother of the Pandavas, so don't do this, give up Duryodhana's side, you come this side, you will become the king of Hastinapura, you are the eldest Pandava and all that. So we know what Karna did, but if you were Karna, what would you do? Would you do anything differently?
I'll catch Duryodhana's hand and say, "Ji, surrender to them, otherwise I'll kill you."
Oh. Okay, quite fierce.
Yeah. As friend, na? Friend means one who thinks of the hita. So what is you, the friend? Being a friend of somebody and you become the cause of that person's death.
Yes.
In the name of your supporting. Support means make sure he's protected.
Nice. Next one. So if you were Shabari, you have waited years and Rama has not come. So would you give up on decorating and cleaning your ashram every single day, or would you think, hey, I've done it for so many years, let me just wait for the message to come, just before he comes I will do the cleaning?
Yeah, I'm a bit in mode of ignorance. Maybe I'd ask somebody to stand somewhere outside the house or somewhere nearby to get 2-3 people. And then you just, as soon as Ram comes, engage him for some time, then tell me, we'll do all the necessary.
Okay.
This we used to do in our hostel, in our paramilitary college. So there was always some fall-ins, means they come and check, surprise checks, everything is proper or not. She always had one person, one of the students who would inform us, some checking is happening.
Okay.
Immediately just put everything, make things clean, 2 minutes.
Everything done.
Yeah, because of my mode of ignorance, I would do that.
So the next one, if you were Bhima, so in chapter 1, we saw how Ashwatthama was caught like an animal and brought, he had killed Upapandavas. So Bhima is like, oh, we have to kill him. But everybody else said, no, we should forgive and all that. So if you were in position of Bhima in that situation, would you agree with everybody else's decision and keep quiet, or would you still go ahead and kill Ashwatthama?
No, I'd go and kill Ashwatthama.
You would have killed?
Yes.
Okay. Next is, if you were Kaushalya, 14 years you were waiting for your son to come back, and now he's back. And then you see, before he's coming to your palace, he's going to Kaikeyi's palace. So how would you feel? Would you forgive him and accept?
Yeah, I'd be happy because he went to Kaushalya's palace only to visit. But he's going to stay in my palace, isn't it?
Okay.
That's only visit.
Yeah.
And that's intelligence.
Okay.
If somebody has gone to somebody's place before coming to your place, you should be really happy. Yours is the last place. Please come and going to take rest here. Other place gone to visit.
Nice perspective. Okay. So what about if you were Akrura, you have been sent by Kamsa to go bring Krishna and Balram, and then you go there, all these Vrajavasis, the gopis, they're crying, and you are seeing all this. So in spite of them crying so much, will you still bring Krishna Balram, or you will leave them in Vrindavan? And
You ever tell Krishna to stay back? Balram, you come and take care of Kamsa.
Jai. Perfect
Both
plan.
works are done.
Yes. Amazing solution. Very nice. The next one. So if you were Sita and you have been rescued from the captivity of Ravana by Rama and all the, the Vanara Sena, already you are subjected to one Agni Pariksha. You come to Ayodhya. Now they are telling again one more Agni Pariksha. So will you still accept to go through another Agni Pariksha or you'll just walk away? What is this?
Yeah, take any pariksha to attain Ram.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful. So your Arjuna, it's 18th day of Kurukshetra war. Karna is right in front of you, your arch rival. Poor Karna, his chariot's wheel is stuck in the mud and Krishna is telling you hit him. So will you still shoot an arrow at Karna who is on the ground? Or will you
Yes,
say,
yes.
no, you will?
No, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The last one, Maharaj. If you were Radharani, you're running behind Krishna. Krishna has been taken away by Akrura, he's going. And you're seeing him, Krishna is going towards Mathura, never to come back. Will you run behind him, following him to Mathura, or you'll just stay back where you are, submerged in separation?
Yeah, take another chariot and go and catch hold of Krishna and drag him back.
Yay,
Why wait?
that's the way.
With Rath Yatra, why wait till Kurukshetra? Now only. Take another chariot, go and then drag him. Oh, you want to kill Kamsa? Okay, kill Kamsa and bring him. Come.
Amazing.
Just get him fast.
Beautiful. That's the spirit. So we don't have to see Radharani and gopis crying. Brilliant, brilliant, Maharaj. Thank you so much. And just like you were solving all these divine dilemmas week after week, you're solving many of our dilemmas by giving your clear-cut, deep-cutting explanations. And thank you so much, Maharaj. So, Hare Krishna, everyone. There we go. So, this was a brief discussion on chapters 3 and 4 of Canto 3. So, although Vidura Uddhava Samvada has come to an end, next another Samvada is going to start. That is Vidura Maitrai Samvada. It is going to be a long, winding conversation running to several cantos. So, don't go anywhere. Please come back next week. We will be waiting and we will continue our discussion from chapter 5 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3. So, until then, as always, you know the drill. Stay inquisitive and stay Krishna conscious. Take care. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.